Hey everybody, welcome to another video review. This is another 4K Walt Disney Classics Collection special. It's from a little bit later on in the line when they were about to, shut things down. A pretty magnificent piece, very sought after. This is, of course, Maleficent from the classic animated Sleeping Beauty. Very stunning in its art design, as well as, sort of the ambition of it. This entire statue is made of fine art porcelain with some plussing or accents, as so often goes into these pieces. So a few facts. It comes with this paperwork in the original green box. They all come with this to, encourage you to be very careful taking it out of the box because it's so fragile. This one actually comes with instructions on how to properly put the staff in position. As you can see, there's a little tiny knob near the top of the statue. And you have to locate the hole on the front of the throne's arm, her right side. And then you can insert the little stem right over here into the hole, and you can actually position it however you want with the angle. As you can see, for the way I choose to display it, I thought that it would look more appropriate if her staff was placed in this fashion, although you can obviously point it here or the other way. And I believe in a lot of the promo pictures, the staff is like angled way out. But for me, I found it more pleasing and more natural to have it cross her feet this way. And of course, you have the certificate of authenticity. The name of the piece is actually Sinister, Sorceress. The character is Maleficent from Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty. And as you can see, it is number, what number is this? I see, it's number 53 of only 750 made. And then of course back here, there's a booklet that goes with a lot of these pieces, kind of advertising what's coming up, and it has the 20th century celebration of the Walt Disney Classics Collection, and this back stamp right over here is also back stamp on the bottom of the statue. So what to say about this piece? Well, the Disney Classics Collection, as I'm fond of saying, used to not have any limitations. They would just make them forever, year after year after year. And every year, they would have like a new back stamp at the bottom to denote, I guess, what year it was made. And they were pretty pricey, but because they made so many of them, I think it made sense, for the factories to, get paid appropriately because you were commissioning so many of them, right? This, by the way, is not like a resin statue, as I'm fond of saying in a lot of the other reviews. If you've seen my other reviews of the Walt Disney Classics Collection pieces, then this is old information for you. But this is not like modern statues of resin or plaster or plastic or polystone. This is fine art porcelain. This is the porcelain that you eat off of. And so it's incredibly difficult to create such beautiful, classic, accurate pictures or sculptures of the animated characters, and then to paint them appropriately, to have them fired in a kiln for the, for the colors to be sealed in. This is all extremely, difficult to do, and it would basically be impossible to produce for a reasonable price in today's day and age. And even back then, it was expensive. And I think the only way they were able to make it somewhat reasonable is they would commission these factories. Excuse me. They would commission these factories in Thailand to make them by the thousands. And so that, was what made it financially feasible. And of course, as time passed, even that was impossible, and they had to stop the line. So the original concept for Maleficent, kind of imagined her as a vampire almost. This, evil, dark fairy. And so it is appropriate that for this particular piece, they had her sitting on her throne, sort of brooding, her next step. And of course, the backdrop of this throne is a giant vampire bat. So even though Maleficent is sitting here, the throne is sort of a character in of itself. It's a beautifully made, beautifully weathered. Again, keep in mind that all of this is made out of porcelain. You can tell if you listen to me tap it, you can see it's hollow. All of the porcelain has that particular sound. And then we're going to go back and take a look at the back part of this. You don't see this very often, but check out again the really nice intricate detail as they try to make the porcelain look like stone. You can see all the little cracks, all the slabs of rock, the pitting of all of it, all the way down here, and then moving around. Here's the side. Look at the fingers, the stone fingers, comprising the arm of her throne. Kind of give you some detailed looks here, and you can see the backdrop, sort of the scales, and then the bat. And then we see Maleficent herself in all her glory. I'm gonna get a little bit close. You can see the detail. Beautifully done. There she is. You can see her ring and her fingers. Both her fingers, as well as the legs of the raven, are made of bronze. This is definitely made out of some type of pewter. You can see her magic cane with a ball at the very top. And then her billowing black robes also in fine porcelain. Coming all the way out. Near the end of the line, they realized that they couldn't make thousands of these and have them worth anything. And so they did begin to create them in much more exclusive numbers. And 750 is quite a small amount. That's why this piece is quite limited and very desired. It takes up a lot of room though, that's for sure. Kind of hard to get complete in box without damage. You can imagine that this, staff would very easily get damaged. Look at the delicacy of her fingers. And of course, all these areas here, the billowing robes, all the curves, all of this stuff could easily get damaged, And sad to say, but near the latter part of the Classics collection line, even the packaging, began to decrease in quality. The sort of foam that was used was a lot weaker, disintegrated a lot faster, not nearly packaged as nicely or as well, again, to try to save on cost. So quite a bit of these did, show up with damage. But I was fortunate enough to get one of these for a quite reasonable price off of eBay without any damage. So quite happy to have gotten her. in this condition. I'm just going to rotate her slowly so you can see her. Believe it or not, there's actually not a lot of great Walt Disney Classics collection pieces of Maleficent. I mean, there's one with her on the turret of her castle. And then, of course, you know, the only other one that comes to mind is from the Signature series, where she's, you know, basically casting her curse over the baby. So that's a Signature series piece. And then there's her, of course, as the dragon. There's a couple of pieces of the Maleficent dragon, but of Maleficent herself, there aren't a lot of great versions of her with her, you know, really, you know, billowing robes. And so this is kind of one of the more iconic versions of her, having her kind of sitting here. You could argue that, you know, the one where she's casting the curse from the Signature series is a little bit better, but that comes as part of an ensemble of pieces. I mean, for that to really work, you kind of want to have the fairies and, you know, the king and queen. And this is her kind of, you know, on her throne, casting sort of, you know, her own spell in a way. Very, very nicely done in terms of just the mood of the piece. I kind of consider this the definitive Maleficent piece. I mean, all of the versions of her that exist in the Classics collection line. Going a little bit closer now, so again, you can appreciate the detail. Any closer and she'll start blurring on my 4K camera, so I'll just sort of stop right there. Take a look here on the sides, look here on top, and her raven. Again, just so beautifully sculpted, beautifully painted. There's a certain luster and glaze to porcelain fired in a kiln that you can't really get very easily any other way. Again, a very ambitious piece for its time. Nowadays, throne pieces are very, very common, but not so back in those days. And definitely a very fitting send-off to the character as one of the last Walt Disney Classics collection pieces. Love the stone on her ring, and of course, the orb at the tip of the staff. Just that attention to detail, you know. Again, later on in the line, they were trying to save a lot of money. There weren't as many plussing elements as, you know, earlier, but this kind of was a return to form. You know, putting in that little extra bit of effort with the pewter and the bronze. You know, this wasn't even like a so-called gold circle edition. This wasn't a signature, but it is limited. You know, any Walt Disney Classics collection piece that has a limitation, what Disney is saying is that they're special in some way. Now, granted, earlier on, the limitation was so large as to be almost a joke. They were like literally the thousands, sometimes close to 10,000. But near the end of the line, when they were only making, you know, 500, 750 of these, then you know that these are, you know, something special. That they can't actually afford to make too many of them because it's so complicated and intricate to create. This is what I consider one of the legacy pieces. Like, you know, if you want to get some of the best of the entire line, then this is definitely one of them. Very pleased to have her in my collection, and I hope you enjoyed this review with the 4K quality pictures, and you kind of get to see her and appreciate her in ways that you normally wouldn't be able to unless you actually own the piece yourself. Just mainly because, you know, so few people have this in their collection, and then are willing to put the time to, you know, do an actual YouTube review of this. So I try to do my part for certain Walt Disney Classics collection enthusiasts who might be interested in seeing this. Very good. Until next time, do take care.